The local newspaper, call it the local rag if you like, is one of the institutions of English country life, and the day it arrives on your doorstep is always a mild occasion in the rural week, because this is the day everybody reads the printed version of the gossip they've been hearing for the past 7 days. Take this one, for instance, a paper which practices a harmless subterfuge by changing its name, though not necessarily its news, to flatter parochial pride. The Lymington Times is a real country paper. It comes out every Friday and it costs threepence. It will not tell you about the Cuban crisis, but it will give you the price of bacon, which in this corner of Hampshire is much more important. The circulation area of this paper is only a dozen miles from end to end. Its main centres of population are limited to a handful of New Forest and coastal towns which only come to life with the annual invasion of holidaymakers. In the whole of this area there are only 40,000 people, and yet every week the Lymington Times sells nearly 15,000 copies, which by any journalistic standard is circulation at saturation point. Some people laugh at the paper, other people complain about it. But the point is that all of them read it. It's part of their lives, because they make the news that goes into it. This is a paper with its roots in the population it serves. The Lymington Times is one of the few country weeklies that have survived the takeover bid, the merger and the closure, and a fairly vigorous survivor at that. It's printed in New Milton, and it's still a real family concern. All 4 directors of the paper have the same surname, and one of them's the editor. His name is Charles Curry, and he's a man with well-defined views about the function of a local newspaper.
Many people consider that weekly newspaper journalism is dull and uninteresting, but there's no reason why this should be so. Whilst admittedly many reports will be routine and nothing can be done about that, there does very often arise the story where a strong comment can be made and fresh facts brought to bear which wouldn't normally be known had it not been for the action of the newspaper. I think that many newspapers, provincial newspapers, could adopt the more courageous attitude adopted by some of the nationals in their handling of stories, whilst at the same time not being allowed quite so much license. For if an error of fact is made, then one's readers who are on one's very doorstep very soon make it known. National and local journalism both have a common object, and that is to provide stories of interest to their readers. The national journalist is more fortunate inasmuch that he has a better choice of stories to go from, taken from any corner, possibly of the world, or certainly the country. The local journalist, on the other hand, has to cover all stories which occur within his locality, some of which are interesting to him, others which are not. But they are of interest to somebody, and therefore the story has to be covered.
The bread and butter task of the local journalist has always been known as the rounds. Every week he calls on the same people to find out what's happened and what's going to happen. This is the way he gets the paragraphs which are the paper's stock in trade.
This parish of Highcliffe is one of the 2 parishes in Christchurch Rural Deanery taking part in the 1962 Winchester Diocesan United Churchship campaign. We had our supper last week at the Gorse School.
How many people were present there, sir?
About 140.
140.
There were 4 speakers who put before the people our proposed plans for next year, the emphasis all along being very much upon people giving their time and their talents to the church. We put before them the financial budget for the year, which totals £4,989.
Well, Mr. Whitcomb, I understand that the monthly meeting of the Horticultural Society was held on Monday. Can you tell me something that happened there? Did you have a lecturer?
Yes, Mr. Carter gave a lecture.
Mr.
On,
Carter, where does he come from?
Or Watford.
From
He
Watford.
just recently moved there. He got a new garden. He just set out a new garden. In fact, he invited us all up there to have a look around, see what progress he's made.
I see, yes. And what did he talk about?
Oh, on our garden friends, first of all, introduced with the slides.
Yes.
And then he went on and showed us some of the lesser known varieties.
Well, Matron, I understand that work is to start this week on some new old people's flats. Can you tell me something about these?
Oh, very nice. Central heating, hot water provided.
Lifts?
Oh yes, lifts.
And what will the rent be for them?
The single ones, 27 and 6, and the
Yeah.
double ones, 32 and 6.
That's
That's 2 rooms in the double ones. One room in the single ones with bed alcoves.
Yes. Have you a waiting list for them?
Well, Mr. Kermode, that is the patron of the old people's homes. He keeps a list, and I understand they're already most of them booked.
How is the cliff erosion situation getting on nowadays, Mr. Gray? I understand you had a slight fall last night. Is
Yes,
that correct?
well, with a full day of rains yesterday, as you well know.
Yes. And how much actually subsided?
The whole path from the cliff top to the sand level here went down last night.
Yes, I see. What is it that causes this? Is it the sea coming in, or...?
Good
The
heavens,
rains?
no, it's the rains that come down. That comes down to the cliff face and slides down the cliff.
Yes, I see. Is there any permanent answers to this? Is there any way of stopping this from happening?
Yes, a lot of money, I think.
A lot of money?
A tremendous amount of money.
Well, just for this little stretch of coastline along here,
Right from Fry's Cliff.
from Friars Cliff?
Yeah.
I see. You haven't any idea about how much it would cost, a rough figure?
Good heavens, no. No. Tremendous amount, that's all I dare say.
And what would it consist of? A sea wall?
A sea wall, yes. A sea wall.
And it would stretch from Friars Cliff to
Well,
the Chewton Bunny, would
If
it?
we had a sea wall here, it would give us possible chance of giving some gullies from the cliff face to the bottom there, and then controlling the water, which we can't control at the present moment.
I see. So at present you're just repairing damage every 6 months during the winter, are you?
That's about all it runs to, yes.
Another local matter of great concern is that of coast erosion. For a number of years, large portions of the coast have been lost by the sea, and lately there has been danger of the sea breaking through at Hurst, a shingle bank. To this end, the council have prepared a £225,000 coast defence scheme. The newspaper took a large number of photographs, in fact 21 pictures, of a section of groins which have been put in a few years ago and repaired year by year, but all to no effect. Each one of the groins has been underwashed or smashed off. This section of groins cost in the region of £40,000. I don't know how much has been spent on repairing them. Now these are to be replaced by a £225,000 scheme, some of which is for a seawall to back the groins. The contention of the newspaper is that these groins have proved to be a failure, and if more are put in, they can only go the same way. If the beach level is lowered, and continues to be lowered, then the seawall, as proposed, will only be undermined and destroyed.
Hello, Milton Advertiser and Lymington Times. Yes, yeah. Yes, righto. Right, I'll be on my way then.
From the reporter's point of view, the great advantage of working on a small newspaper is the variety of stories to be covered. This is the best possible training ground for the youngster who wants to specialise later on. There are 5 reporters altogether on the Lymington Times, and their notebooks are full of every possible kind of story, from funerals to football matches. While one man's out at a fire, for instance, another's down by the coast, interviewing a man who's just crossed the channel in a 9-foot dinghy.
Can you tell me something about this trip?
Yes. Well, I went both ways, and going over I took about 30 hours on the trip, and coming back I took about 20.
Well, I must say, it seems a bit on the small side.
Well, that's true. It's in fact about 9 feet 6 long, but on the other hand, I think it's a very safe boat. It has extra buoyancy tanks here, and I think it's pretty safe.
Mm-hmm. How about the lid?
Well, this lid, this was designed especially for the trip, and the object, in case I got into a storm, it would stop any waves breaking aboard, and also it made the boat self-righting. If it turned upside down, I tested that it would come back onto an even keel again.
Did everything go according to plan, or were there any emergencies?
Well, I wouldn't say emergencies. I had a couple of incidents. On the trip over, I was late starting from the Isle of Wight, and this meant that I missed the tides off the French coast, and I had to mess about off the coast all night. And I was a good many hours behind schedule. And coming back, the only incident was that the exhaust pipe broke. And this meant that the inside of the boat became very fumy and smelly, and to get air I had to stand up all the time and breathe over the top of the lid.
How about navigation? How did you know where you were going?
Well, navigation mainly was my dead reckoning. You see I have a compass here, and I kept a record of my course very carefully on charts, and also the course was planned carefully beforehand. And in addition, I have a homemade radio direction finding set, which I use to fix my position on the radio beacons which are situated off the coast.
Generally speaking, we rely on the usual family sort of news, weddings and police court and sport, the local ratepayers associations and things like that. The general run of things is quite mundane. We just carry on and report the daily happenings of the borough and the villages around. When we're writing headlines, we like to show a picture of the story which we're telling. Get a person interested in a certain football team, and we like to give the names of the 2 teams in the heading. For instance, Brockenhurst played well at Salisbury, or something like that. I think most people like to see their names in the papers, and it does, especially with children, it attracts both the children and their parents when there's a dancing display or a concert or something like that. Both the mothers and the children like to see their names in the paper. The same applies to footballers. If you can mention their name, even only once in a report, they are pleased about it. And for that reason, we like to get as many names into the paper as we possibly can. Normally in our paper we don't go in for sensationalism as regards headings. On the front page we normally go up to about 30 point, which is roughly ½ an inch depth, while the nationals go up to about 3 inch type. We think that's too sensational for our conservative minded public. In any case, it's a waste of space. We want to use as much of the space for news as we possibly can.
Mr. Martin Weston, 37 years old father of 4 children of 5 Manor Road near Milton, arrived at Key Haven Thursday night, having completed a double channel crossing in a home-built dinghy which is only 9.5 feet long. Mr. Weston is a senior experimental officer at SRDE Somerford, and his training there came into use during his journey when he relied to a large extent on a homemade radio direction finder for his navigation.
Well, we aren't a union shop here. There never appeared to be any need to join the union. Periodically they come round and ask us to join, but so far they haven't been successful. Well, they do restrict you in some ways. I mean, say, if, for instance, if I would be a stone hand and very little else. At the moment, I'm stone hand. I make the paper. I'm also more or less responsible for stereo, responsible for the rotary, the printing of the actual paper. In a union shop, obviously, we couldn't do this. It would be one man and more or less, I don't say all the time, one job. I've never been in a union, so I can't really speak from experience. But we're treated very fairly as far as pay and conditions are concerned. I don't think we could gain very much. We have gained by not being in the union, or when there's been strikes, we haven't struck. We're a small town, we're a small paper, and I think we probably think small to a certain extent. Our machinery is rather old, to be expected, I suppose, in a small place. I suppose for some people we're rather in the backwoods, but nevertheless I think we do a reasonable job with what we have. We have breakdowns all the time. Well, people won't repair it for us. We have to turn to and repair it ourselves. You know, we have a lathe, mill, drills, various equipment like this for repairing the machinery, and we don't employ outside help. We do it all ourselves. Our printing day is on Thursday. That's the day when we really get steamed up and have to get cracking, if you know what I mean. We make nearly half of the paper on Wednesday, and the other half, just over the other half, must be made on the Thursday, and we start to print on a Thursday. Now, when you come in of a Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, everybody heads down, and you're hard at it, usually until about 10, maybe 11 o'clock at night. We have been here till 3 Friday morning before now. Everybody digs in until about 7 o'clock, and then we should be ready to get on with the rotary. Plates are cast, gone through the stereo department, and we move on to the rotary. The rotary is plated up, and we press the button, and away we go. And if luck is with us, the weather is with us, because the weather plays a big part in this too, in this building, away we go. We usually finish printing the paper about 12 o'clock. Our run is about 15,000 at the moment, and if there's no trouble, it's not too bad on this old machine of ours. Things go fairly smoothly at times. Other times, if we get a few breakdowns, we can be here till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Depends how things go.
Well, I think it's a wonderful paper, both from the reading point of view and also from the advertisements. I don't think you can better it.
Just advertisements and that's about all. A lot of trash, but what somebody thinks about somebody else, and gossip. Nothing really important news at all.
Well, I've been reading it over the last 20 years, I expect, and I wouldn't miss it. It brings you all the local news right the way around, and I wouldn't miss it for anything.
I think we could possibly have another one, an evening paper, which could be a bit better.
All I ever read in the local paper is what's on at the pictures and the local auction sales and what's for sale.
Well, I think it's an excellent paper myself. I like it very much. In particular, I think its advertisement value is quite a good one. If ever I want to sell anything, I'll always put it in the local paper.
Well, I think as a new Milton newspaper, it's pretty good. But I would like to see more Lymington news stressed on the paper itself. The bias is always at the New Milton end of the borough, and it would be so much more popular at this end of the town if they gave a balanced, in my view, a balanced report of Lymington events.
Well, I think it's very good. We buy it every week. I wouldn't miss it.
Lousy.